There's a well, besides the Royal Commission that I was apparently getting dragged into. I'm not from Tamworth, guys. I lived there very briefly because my mother decided to move there with her second husband. Um, and I'm not from a country town. I'm from Sydney. We owned land in. So I keep going. This is getting ridiculous. We go around in circles. I'm from a built-up area of Sydney, but we happen to own land in a built-up area, so we're able to have a horse stud, stables, swimming pool, landscape gardens. We just had more than what other people had. And every time I say it, Mum's like, "Oh, see, he says he's grown up rich." I'm like, "No, I didn't. I just stated the fact. Never said anything about we were rich. Never said that. I just stated a fact. It's a fact we owned a horse stud near Parramatta. It's a fact. I'm not Shane Childs, by the way, guys. So Housing Commission actually keeps talking about Knox Road. That's not me. Mum's sister was a deadbeat, and this is all family shit that this is going around in circles. You've got losers of abos, losers of this. I'm over it. Okay, Lola May Keegan, my grandmother, her nephew, who's a retired police officer, still lives in Francis Street in Leichhardt. Mum's cousin. My cousin, who I catch up with. I catch up with him because I'm closer to him. He's lovely. Than even you get annoyed with the Purdies. So if you knew my family, this is getting ridiculous. If you actually knew me, and I'm so dumbfounded with what people don't know about me. I know I keep my life very reserved, but how can you not know the basics? Like, my dad's a builder, my mum was a paralegal. Mum worked in the city her entire life most of her life before she moved in April 1989. Mum's close friend when she was with my dad still. Her close friend, anyway, Diane Scholbach. Diane Scholbach's from Clifton Gardens. Her husband, Diane passed away in October 2005. The adopted son, Brendan, I haven't seen him since 2005, so over 20 years now. Her husband, Ian Scholbach, a barrister in Sydney, was my mum's boss. I grew up with these people. So when you want to talk about who I grew up with, I didn't grow up with Tamworth people. So I'm a bit confused to what I'm getting dragged into. Okay? And anyone involved in the horse riding industry, we're not friends. That's not friendship. We're in competition together. Okay, you're in competition. You know them because you're in competition. These aren't friends. These are your opponents. Okay, so you've got riding ponies, or you've got, hacks, or you've got, quarter horses, or you've got Australian stock horse or answer horses, and so forth. Australian saddle pony. You're in competition. You're in competition with the other opponent. So they're not friends. You know of them through competition. You wouldn't say that, that's a friend of mine. No, because your horse is there to beat them. Your main objective is to win. They're not friends. It's a competition. Okay, so people that you're in competition with don't know really much about you except the fact that how we're going to beat you. It's a competition. Anyone involved in the equestrian industry or horse riding industry, these are not friends. They will never be friends. You are solely there in competition against them. Okay, that's the way it is. Now, my grandmother Lola, she's from Leichhardt. Yes, okay, they've got racing industry and so forth, and then that's why Nan was born in Wellington, New South Wales. It's getting ridiculous. You people are fucking... Can't you read a document or something? Is there something fucking wrong with you, you losers of government workers? Reg Purdy, my grandfather, Reginald George Purdy, is from Balmain. He never left Sydney. He's born and raised in fucking Balmain. His father, Keith Purdy's born and raised in Balmain. His mother, Lillian, still lived a life out in Newtown, but she's from Paddington. What the fuck's wrong with you idiots? He owned racehorses and had them in Sydney because back in those days, you could have horses in Sydney. And he had horses in the city. What the fuck's wrong with you idiots? You're trying to judge Balmain, and it's like, it wasn't built up then. It was still built up. There was a very different because Sydney City worked as a horse city. It was a horse city. Down the road from where Pop lived in Balmain was stables. People had their horses stabled all together. It was a horse city. Like, Harold Park was a raceway. You're just looking at Sydney after year 2000. So you guys are looking at Sydney for the last 26 years. That's not Sydney before. What the fuck's wrong with you idiots? Jesus Christ. Yeah, my family were all involved in racing, pacers, trotters, gallopers, and equestrian riding, but in Sydney. In fucking Sydney. Christ almighty, the Muskets still live in Penrith. Julia Musket, which is her, what's her mum's name? No, her sister was Gwenda, wasn't it? The Muskets. I remember Julia. She's one of the younger ones. She married a skip. They know my family from the suburbs. They know the Purdy's from the suburbs because Nan and Pop moved from the city in 1960. Hang on, 1962. Yeah, 1962 they moved from the city to the suburbs, and Dad's parents moved from the city to the suburbs in 1953. Well, Dad's parents moved to Parramatta. The fuck, man! This is just so what's going on? Because idiots think I'm from some country. I'm not from a country town. So there's got to be some real big scam. I'm not from a country town. I'm born and raised in Sydney. I moved to, well, Tamworth's not a country town. It's a city. But I moved there briefly for 6 years. And I know that I was dragged into a scam from there because some fuckwit from my high school said, oh, the trauma to do with Tamworth. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because you don't come up here. I'm like, well, I do when I have to, but I've got no reason to go there. I didn't keep in touch with people when I moved back home to Sydney. Like, you're not making sense when you say, but you don't go there. I'm like, why do I have to go there? Like, I'm a bit confused. I'll go there for holidays. I used to go there for holidays because lovely. I'm really confused. And I literally have people say, oh, because you're from there. I'm like, no, I'm actually not from there. So you're not making sense. And I've been saying this now for 11 years. You're not making sense. And you're there going, I'm not making sense. It's like, no, you're not making sense because you think I'm born and raised in an area I'm not born and raised in. So you are not making sense. I went to an area when I was 10. We lived between New England and Sydney. So we weren't 100% in New England. We lived between New England and Sydney. And I moved back home to Sydney in 95. That's 6 years. I then travelled back and stayed briefly for a model's quest, back home again. Then I went back in 99 because I wanted to work at a hotel that was up there and have a break. So I did for a year. But I wasn't there so I wasn't there from 89 to 99. I was there from April 1989 until 95 and then travelled back again. So there's something really odd going on because, yeah, I would go up there and visit my mum. She's got a big property up there. But we're not from there. My mum's actually, I've been telling my mum, especially when I went through immigration, I'm like, oh, God, Carol, can you stick with the fucking facts? My mum's blasé. She goes, oh, he was raised in Tamworth. So next minute they're looking for someone raised in Tamworth. I'm like, not someone that was living there from 10 to, 15, 16. It's like, you're an idiot, Mum. Like, this is immigration. This is government. This is like sticking to facts. They want to know facts, not blasé. Facts. Carol, you're born in Darlinghurst. When you were born, your parents still lived in Rozelle in the inner city. This is what people want. This is what immigration wanted. I read all the letters for immigration. Okay, they wanted to know what primary school I went to. Okay, which meant St. Aidan's Roman Catholic School in Rooty Hill. Then after you moved, went for 2.5 years in the school down the road from you. Then we went to Our Lady of the Rosary College. Then they want to know what TAFE colleges I went to. TAFE College in Newcastle, TAFE College in Tamworth, TAFE College, at Enmore, TAFE College, where they want to know where you've studied. It's not blasé, it's facts. Who's your dad? Where's he born? Okay, where's he live? What does he do? Builder. What does my mum do? Paralegal. Back then she was still a paralegal when I was going for immigration. Because mum was still a paralegal. She was working for the law company. Okay, I'm talking about like back in 2011 I started immigration. This is the ridiculous shit my mum goes on with because she's fucking, oh God, she's got mental health issues like you wouldn't believe since she got with Mark Rackley, her second husband. It's ridiculous. You're told to stick to facts. Stick to facts. Not blasé bullshit, Carol. Because I actually had a guy from my high school called Anthony Wood, and I'm like, you're an idiot. He's like, oh, he messy. He goes, what nationality are you? I'm like, oh, fuck this idiot. I'm like, for starters, I went to high school with you, dickhead, for 4 years. I was only out of high school for 4 years, and I went back to Sydney and went to TAFE College. It's like, oh my God. He looks ethnic. I'm like, yeah, I looked ethnic in high school. You will remember that because, the mole on my nose that was removed in 92. Thanks. You can actually still see the scar. You can see it just here. The mole was removed there. I had a mole on my nose. There. See it? Look, the scar still exists. Right there. So in 1992, I had a mole removed off my nose. I looked in jet black hair. I stood out like a sore thumb. I looked like a wog, which is all Dad's side. And that's because of my dad's father. So I said, my dad's father, I said the truth about Stanley Fleming. Yeah? I said the truth about Nan's great-grandmother as well. You know, Nan's great-grandmother's, I know my family history, and it's like, next minute you've got these losers going, oh, did you get it from Ancestry.com? No, I got it from the family member themselves. Lola, okay, so my grandmother Lola May, there was a reason why she was called Lola, and she says it comes from the French side, it's because of her grandmother being French, which her grandmother is technically French and Irish. Her great-grandmother's French, but her great-grandfather's Irish. Idiots. Fuck me dead. So I know the history. It's like, oh, how do you know? And then my mum, I was like, Carol, stop your bullshit. You know, so I know it from, so I grew up with my grandmother Lola, my grandfather Reginald George Purdy, my great-grandmother Mary, my great-uncle Leo Patrick Sayer. Yeah, his name's Leo Patrick Sayer, not the singer, you idiots. Leo passed away back in 2002 when I was 23. Big Nan, my great-grandmother Mary, passed away when I was about 16 in 95. Okay, she died in the nursing home in Stratford in Jersey Road. So did her brother, which is Matthew John Sayer, but he passed away around 93. Okay, we're from Sydney. Matthew John Sayer, I think it was Jersey Road. He was in the same nursing home about 93. Nan went into that nursing home about 94. She died in 95. Before that, she was living in Piper Street, 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt. Mum's cousin's in Francis Street, Leichhardt, just down the road. You know, that's where they're from. So Mum's doing some bullshit. Wait. Oh, that's not my relatives. How much you want to say? She'll say shit like this. Mum's done some fucking bullshit scam. Oh, I bet what is she doing? An Aboriginal scam again? There is no Aboriginal in my family. We do not have Aboriginal in my family. Okay? None. Okay? There is no Aboriginal, but I look the way I do because Dad's father's an orphan. Okay? And Mum's been told so many times, okay? Stick with your own clan. Right? Mum's side. So my grandmother Lola May Keegan's side, you go, her father, Arthur William James Keegan, Irish. Her mother, Mary Ann Sayer. Okay, Mary Ann Sayer's father, because I don't know much about Arthur's, but I know all the women side. Mary Ann Sayer's father's George Sayer. George Sayer's family is in England. The only family member that came out from England was George Sayer. Okay, my great-grandmother's father. The rest of them are in England. George Sayer's wife, okay, is Julia Ryan. Right? Julia Ryan was born here, but Julia Ryan's mother wasn't. Bridget Dufresne is French. Julia Ryan's father is Matthew Joseph Ryan. He's Irish. So we know where they come from. I know where they come from. Big Nan told me. Uncle Fred told me. I know my dad's mother, Ruby Jean Hill, who's from Five Dock, told me her brother, Uncle George Hill, he didn't pass away into what, 2014? My dad's great uncle. He stayed with me in Surrey Hills. That's how I know. I was asking Uncle George Hill about his grandparents. So Uncle George Hill's grandparents, which is Kate Elizabeth Keelan King from Southampton, and, well, fuck, I forgot his grandfather's name at the moment. Herbert. Oh, not Herbert. Is it Herbert? Anyway, he's from London. So my nan's grandparents are from London and Southampton. The ones that look German, well, the father looks German. So then you've got Frank Edward Hill, who they had, who Kate, oh God. Anyway, for the second, you know, it'll come to me anyway. Nan's grandfather's name. Anyway, they went from the UK to Dunedin. He's a surveyor of the land. He came as developing, like land developers. So they came from England as land developers and went to Dunedin first before settling in Woollahra. So my dad's grandparents, my dad's grandfather settled in Woollahra. Okay, that's why he married his wife Ada Gray in Woollahra. Then they moved to Abbotsford. Okay, then they raised their family. So, you know, a massive, huge family in Abbotsford. My nana, Ruby, she married Stanley Fleming. I think they were married in Botany because that's where Stanley Fleming lived. Then they moved to Parramatta. Then they retired to the Central Coast. Like, stick to the facts. Like, honest to God. So there must be what is a small country town scam. I don't know what the fuck's going on that I'm dragging into. We're not abos. We're not abos. Like, seriously. This is ridiculous. And I don't pander to this shit. So I don't care what the fuck's going on, but yeah, we're not Aboriginals. So I don't know what I'm dragged into. What is she up to now? Is it some therapy scam? Is it some Greyhound therapy scam? Is it some mentally retarded scam? Is it some social support working mental health scam? Is it a child molestation scam? Is it a home care scam? Is it a carer scam? Like, honest to fucking God. You know, you've got to say to the three Purdy women, Carol, Robin, and Marianne Purdy, when do you guys stop? When do you stop? Because your father had a gut full of you three. Reginald George Petty had a fucking gut full of you three. Put him in an early grave. Nan put up with you, but she used to throw her hands up in the air and think, what can I do? I was like, fucking flog them. They're the problems. Those three pieces of shit are the problems. Mum wouldn't have my mother would be fucking living in housing commission if she didn't marry her first husband, my father. My father, Mark, and this is why there's issues between me and my dad. This is why my dad won't help me. So before Giovanni Consalvo, my ex-partner, wants to sling shit, goes, oh, his dad doesn't even help. It's like, wait a minute. That's because my dad gave everything to my mother in the divorce, thinking it was going to go to his kids, and it didn't. My mother gave it all to her second husband's family. So my dad already parted with like 98% or even more of his entire life. He gave his house, land, assets and belongings, and don't start shit because my mother, it was all my dad. My dad was a builder. Mum was a paralegal, sure, but she was married to a fucking builder. Okay? That's why Mum has even where she lives now. Because of Mark Fleming. But Dad doesn't have to still be an arsehole the way he is. Seriously, we're never going to get that. Mum's head's shoved up the fucking Rackleys. The Rackleys are a second husband's family. The Rackleys are from a small country town. So this is the weird shit. So the Rackleys, so Mark Rackley, he moved from some deadbeat area, was it Marion or some shit in the suburbs of Sydney? They're low fucking deadbeat abo. He moved as a teenager to South Australia. Yeah, which is where my ex is from as well. Giovanni Consalvo is from South Australia. He moved there and he raised his first family in a small rural area of South Australia, or something like an area, like a rural area of Adelaide or something. So Mark Rackley's first wife and his first kids, Michelle, Belinda, Daniel, and Kimberly Rackley, are all raised there. They're deadbeat scum that are involved in criminal behaviour, but have always been involved in criminal behaviour. Daniel then, following our family around, Daniel moved to Tamworth in 1995. He also moved to the Central Coast and lived around areas where my actual family, or both the Purdys and the Flemings live on the Central Coast. I was like, oh my God, my stepbrother's fucking here as well. And even in Sydney. So even in 2015, rebel bikie gang members. But here's the thing. Now, I'm going to leave this here and say, because I'm over this shit of the last 11 years, state government workers need to wake up to themselves. Really need to wake up to themselves. So I go to visit my sister on the long weekend in 2015, January long weekend. I'm up there, I'm socialising with my twin sister, Amanda Lee Fleming. Her name's not Rackley. You losers have been told for 36 years. So if you have to be told again that stop calling us Rackley, then there is something seriously wrong with you. Go get mental health help. Because you people in the horse riding industry have been told for over 36 years, don't call us Rackley, our surname is Fleming. If you have to be told one more day, you need psychological help. Because this is how long these people, I honestly can tell, this is how long these people have been told. Like, they'll call you Rackley, like, with your mother's name, it's like, are you insane or something? Mum just remarried. Are you insane? We keep telling you over and over again, don't call us Rackley, it's not our name. And by doing this, you're affiliating us with a different family. Our surname's Fleming. Stop calling us Rackley. So for 36 years, a group of people have been told this. I think this is getting beyond the joke. Okay? And the fucking scum shit horse, but oh my God, ever since Mum got with Mark Rackley, she started affiliating more and more. Look, we weren't involved with all these people before Mark Rackley. Like, my dad's a builder. We actually had a very classy upbringing with my dad. Mum had the horses, Dad had his. The horses were only a sport then. It wasn't a life. We weren't affiliating with the fucking deadbeats. What was it? Narrator Gavin or some shit as well. All these other losers. And then she got all these deadbeats because no one else would speak to her. Basically, that's it. Like, all her decent friends she lost because she only had decent friends, which was married to my dad. Because my dad's a great guy. He's someone that you would admire and respect. He's just a bit of a pussy, but God, sometimes I wish Dad had a bit more testosterone in him. I don't know. I don't mean this to be nasty towards Dad, but he doesn't stand he doesn't like confrontations. The Flemings don't like confrontations, to be honest. So my aggression doesn't come from the Flemings. I can tell you that now because they're very quiet people. They're very. Well, I don't have aggression. I'm yell and scream like the Purdy's do. My dad would for example, if I was here talking to my dad and I'd be like, "Oh, Dad, that's not right." He goes, "Okay, lower your voice." I'm like, what? So he goes, "No, you sound like your mother's family." He goes, "Lower your voice." "All right, I'm going to bed." It's like, oh my God, Dad, we're just talking. Because my mum's family are very loud. It's like, Dad would be my dad's very timid. People, the Flemings are very, they don't like yelling. They don't like confrontations. And they're not like that, like the Purdy's. So my dad's side's very different. They're very calm, collected, reserved people. Right? None of this yelling stuff and this loud stuff. My mum's side. My mum's side is very loud, very loud. So that's where I get the loudness from, is my mum's side. But my dad's side, yeah, my dad's like, "Oh my God, Dad, can you just he wouldn't. He's a lover, not a fighter. He wouldn't want to. He's like, "Oh no, I don't want to fight." He would say his piece, he would get the shits. He'd be like, "That's it." He might say some horrible things, but he's like, "That's it." And that'd be the end of the story. He goes, "No." And my nan was the same. They're not very. They don't like confrontations. They might get the shits and annoyed, but it's yeah. Anyway. But no, so all Mum's good friends. I'm talking about, Mum had really good friends when we were growing up in the 80s. Really good friends that were over the place. And then when she got with her second husband, she started affiliating with her sister's friends. It's like she lost all her friends. And that's exactly what Nan and Pop said, that she lost all her good friends when your dad divorced her. And she had to, she started affiliating with Robin's friends or sister's friends. Anyway, I don't care. Her life's her life. I don't give a shit. Okay, I'm so over the bullshit the last 11 years. I'm just so fucking over it. Over immigration, over the bullshit. I've had enough. Okay? And the most damage in my entire life was just caused in the last 11 years since 2015. I'm over it. I've had a fucking gutful. I'm so sick of it like you wouldn't believe. So, the trauma crap. Ugh. Right. To actually say I had trauma to Tamworth is insane. Because, yeah, it is absolutely insane. I've done well in Sydney, I did well in Tamworth. You've got government workers and organisations or media, who knows, with so much wrong information. I'm like, listen guys, I'm trying to live with disability after I was mugged after work. 2 major health injuries, one in 2007, the other in 2010. Okay, my living home environment, I don't need it encroached on. I need to be able to maintain and work with what I've got left of a life. You've just made it a billion times worse in the last 11 years. Thanks. Don't do this to someone like me. It was hard enough living my life anyway. I'm fucking over it. So, look, it's just miscommunication, wrong information, and you've got. Look, I'm talking about to recent. I literally have people go, "Oh, his dad's not a builder. He's trying to pretend he's rich. His dad's a nurse. I know his dad." I'm like, you don't know my dad. You know my stepdad, my mum's ex-second husband, and my dad is a builder. So I can pin this. I can go right back to 2017 with nursing workers at St. Vincent's Hospital that were basically, why do you believe? Oh, he's trying to be rich. He says his dad's from Empire Bay. It's like, what? So he's pretending that he's rich by saying his dad's at Empire Bay. I'm like, my dad, I lived at Empire Bay. I know Dad's street's an affluent street, but I lived at Empire Bay. My dad does live at Empire Bay. That's his house. My mum's cousin used to live at Empire Bay, Sharon Newcomb, who's passed on. Her son, Sean Newcomb, who's a real estate agent on the Central Coast, but he's actually now moved to Surrey Hills in Sydney. Him and his second wife, Tiffany, live in Surrey Hills. Sean lives with his first wife in a massive, huge mansion at Empire Bay. So he's there. So what do you mean I'm trying to be rich? He's like, but you said you're from Empire Bay. I'm like, my dad does live in Empire Bay. And it's like, so that's supposed to be me saying I'm rich, is it? By stating the fact. And then you said your mum lives. I was like, my mum does live there. My mum owns a big house and a big property and a big horse stall. And we've got thoroughbred hacks on a big property in New England. I love New England. I think it's great, which is why it's pissed me off when people are saying, "Oh, you've got trauma and don't go up there." What am I, like, what is wrong with you people? All I did was move back home to Sydney. This is what I'm finding so insane. All I did was move back home to Sydney after high school. And now, in the last 11 years, I've got the most insane rubbish. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. You know? All I did was move back home to Sydney. And I was working in Sydney my entire life growing up. I used to work with Reg, my grandfather, every school holiday. Every school holiday I used to work for John Smales, who's an old family friend who owned PJ's Boats, and then it changed to Family Boats, which was in Ford Street, just off Sunny Holt Road in Blacktown. Every school holiday. Then when I was 16 to 17, I worked in Erin Affair. Was in Big W, stuck in shelves of a night when I was studying in Newcastle. So I used to go to work of a night shift with my cousin's husband then. They were young. They're newly married. Darren LeMay. And work there with him as well. So I was always working. Back in the 90s, but everything was cash in hand. Like right up until the GST in the year 2000, pretty much like, I think everyone who's my age will be like, oh yeah, we used to get your little pay packet in those little like those little white or yellow envelopes, and that had all these like sort of lines on them, and it'll say how many hours and how much per hour, and then you got the total down the bottom. Like it's literally like a little envelope with your cash money in it. See, that's the thing. Younger kids today, even people below 40, wouldn't understand how wages were. I'm 47. Wages were handed to you as cash. Right up until, I was still getting cash work anyway, but right up to 26 years ago, wages were handed as cash. Wages were literally given to you as cash. It was up to you to bank it and do everything else with it. But it was literally as an envelope with all these sort of like margins on it, and your total was down here. You were literally handed your pay packet, cash, not in the bank, cash. And I think there's a lot of people in my age group that will understand about picking up their cash pay. Now, I was still getting cash pay in the year 2000 when I worked at other side jobs, like when I worked at the Albion Hotel around the corner from the Gazebo Hotel. So I worked at the Gazebo Hotel and the Albion. So I worked 2 full-time jobs in the year 2000. One of them was through taxes and through my bank. So the salary went in my bank. Any overtime was paid in a little pay packet, cash. So all my overtime was paid as cash. That's what companies did. It's not dishonest. It's how the world worked. As a capitalist world back then, your normal salary is put into your bank. If you worked overtime, you had a little pay packet. That was in the year 2000. That was at the Gazebo Hotel. The Gazebo Hotel changed it to the Carlton Crest Hotel. Around the corner was the Albion Hotel that I worked overnight after midnight. Well, actually, technically I was supposed to start at midnight, but some nights I couldn't make it from my other job around there, but I used to finish at 8 in the morning. And that was given to me in a little pay packet, a little envelope pay packet. But that wasn't my main job. That was just picking up another job during the Olympics, basically. It was just a second job, that one. But everything else was little pay packets. Now, anyone my age would actually know exactly what I'm talking about. And then it's up to you to be putting it in your bank account, doing what you're going to do with it, putting stuff away. Like this whole superannuation stuff, when did all this coming about? Because like this is all new stuff. Like for my era, even like, X-Gens, it's what people don't realise. What the millennials don't realise. Yeah, millennials are full-on electronic. Full-on, unless it's like they don't understand what cash is. They don't understand what checks are. Millennials have no idea what a check is, or a checking book, or a checking account, or actually go into the bank like I used to with your little passport book, your little bank book, where you put your money in it, you hand it over, and it's written in it. Like that, millennials have no idea of money. Millennials have no idea what actual money is, because they've grown up with everything electronic. Well, I didn't. Like we didn't grow up with it like that. We grew up with actual handling money, balancing books, and so forth. So millennials miss out. Anyway, I've gone right off the subject here, but there's just like, why can't the government just read it? Like, why can't you just like look at a document? Right, read. I mean, I went to all the effort of putting documents together for immigration. I went through so much effort to put everything itemized from what family members I was around, what I did. So because we didn't grow up in one area. I didn't grow up in one area. I'm not some povo pleb. I didn't grow up in one area. My God, like that's insane. My parents divorced in the 80s. I lived between two parents because they were shared custody. I didn't grow up in one area. I went to school in one, lived here. Mum worked in the city. You know, it's not one area that I lived in. So it doesn't make sense. Like what I guess I get. This is so frustrating. Like I've literally had people say, "Oh, you know, when he moved to Sydney and this," I'm like, okay, I didn't move to Sydney. I'm from Sydney. And when you say when I moved to Sydney, now you're making it really confusing because when I went for like my birth certificate's there. I'm born in Sydney, and I was raised in. I wasn't home. It's like, so was he homeschooled? Because then where did he? It's like, no. Oh, by the way, Shane and Christy Childs were homeschooled. So here's another really disturbing aspect here. Housing Commission workers must know Shane and Christy Childs. I've been saying this now since 2016, 2017, because a description of my mum's nephew, Shane Childs, kept getting brought up. And I'm like, well, that's not me. But you are describing mum's deadbeat sister. Let's go back to that. Mum's deadbeat sister, that what I've actually said about Robin Childs and what Nana Pop thought about her is actually true. It's a shame that my mum let her father down with her behaviour. See, my mum was her father's favourite. Okay? In actual fact, my mum was both her parents' favourite until Marianne came along. And then Nan said, oh, your mother thinks that Marianne's my favourite. But Marianne's the baby, Justin. Your mum was still... Anyway, okay, I'm not going to go on this. Nana Pop sat me down and told me everything in the year 2000. So, about mum and like about their daughters. And anyway, Nana Pop lost 2 kids before mum was born. They lost 2 sons. They lost Neil and they lost Michael. Okay, Neil was blue-eyed, blonde, ringlet hair. They lost him to what was called Pink's disease, which happened to be lead poisoning. The house there was paint pulling off the wall in their house there in Mansfield Street there in Rozelle. He peeled the paint off the wall. It was lead-based paint in the house, in the terraced house in Mansfield Street, Rozelle. And they didn't know what it was back then. So it was, it was actually lead poisoning that he died from, which is really sad. So anyway, he died, and then Michael died from being premature. And Mum came along, and Nana Pop said when she was so thin and frail, and Nan said, I couldn't cope with losing another child. I just lost 2 kids. Neil was about 2.5 years of age when he died. So, it was, Nan never recovered from it. And Michael was about 2 weeks old. And Nan said to me that the nuns, because the nuns used to run St. Margaret's Hospital in Darlinghurst, which is where Nan was, because they were all born in St. Margaret's Hospital in Darlinghurst. She said they wouldn't let her hold Michael. She said, I never got to hold him. So I don't think Nan ever... So then when Mum came along being so sick and frail, she's like, I couldn't handle losing another child. She looked like, and then she got polio at one stage too, Mum, from a cat. So that's why cats are... There's no cats in my family. There's a massive big thing with cats. They're barred. Cats are a no-no. Dogs are inside. Dogs are fine. I've grown up in houses where there's been big dogs inside, but cats are not allowed in the family because they carry diseases. It's a massive big no for cats. And I seem to find partners that I'm like, no, cats carry diseases. My mum got polio from a cat. So it's a big no-no to have cats in my family. It's not allowed. I mean, dog, you'll see there's photos in my family. You'll see even my dad, Mark Fleming, in Parramatta. He's got his dog. What did he have back then, like a blue cattle dog? That photo is in Parramatta. He's got a blue cattle dog on the sofa with him when he's a teenager in Parramatta. So inside, they're all inside. Heifer, my dad's German Shepherd. Dad had a huge German Shepherd that would cry, his name was Heifer, if she was outside. She had to be inside. So this massive big German Shepherd will be, you'll be on the sofa, next minute the Heifer will be plonking on the sofa. Or in bed with you. The massive human, like massive, German Shepherd lived with us inside. So the dogs were inside. So I've grown up in a family in Sydney where dogs are inside. Like this. Exactly like this. Okay? That's how I've grown up. So it's not unusual for me to have big dogs laying around all over me inside. It's actually what I grew up like, having big dogs inside laying around me. Then when I was 7, Mum got me a Fox Terrier. Well, got a Amanda one as well, but more Jack Russell with it. I had a black and white one, Amanda had a black and white one. So here's where the other confusion comes, because these people that you can clearly see, these people know Robin Childs. I've said this in the past, like, oh, that was Shane. He had this. He had some dog. I'm like, hang on a minute, what, Tiny or something? No, I had Payan. I had a dog that was, imagine a miniature version of this, but black. So I had a miniature version of an English Bull Terrier, but black and white. And it's so, because my dog had the exact same face as this one. Okay? So as I've grown up, the dogs get the same. I get taller, the dogs get taller. This is so stupid. So I can clearly see that back then these idiots described Shane Childs' upbringing. They even described their deadbeat. So they're Aboriginals. So we never socialised with Aboriginals, guys. You got the wrong family. We never grew up with Abos. Shane Childs did in Knox Road. I'm not from there. How do I know this about Justin Lister or Jolene Lister and Coralie or some shit? It's like, oh my God, because deadbeat Robin Childs. Robin Childs is Mum's deadbeat sister. Her deadbeat kids. Her deadbeat Lowie Scrubbers of kids. Christy Childs and Shane Childs. God, we used to get all the frigging gossip because they were the outcasts of the family. They were the lowest of scum. My grandfather couldn't stand it. Couldn't put one foot in front of the other. She wasn't going to mount, they're just Lowies. Shane Childs was in all this trouble growing up. God, he used to get in, he was just a troublemaker. He was in, what was he, a teenager when he gets arrested for dealing cannabis? He was living in Tamworth, near, not far from, was it, is it Hilldale School or something? Or Robert Street Shopping Village? He was in some drug house, deadbeat, like fucking Shane Childs, and he gets picked up for cannabis. And he has to front Oxley Police, or Oxley Court. And his sister, the same, they were just, they've grown up they're just always in trouble, the child. So Robin Childs always in trouble. Her kids, Shane and Chrissy Childs, they're from housing. They're friends with all these deadbeat Hausa Aboriginals. That's who they grew up around. And they're always in fucking, it's just like their friends are deadbeats, they're deadbeats. So you can clearly hear when it's talking, it's like, oh, I didn't grow up like that. Like I grew up in a nice, despite its mum's faults, and mum's got a lot of them, we grew up in a very civilised home environment where we sat down on a dining table that was set correctly for dinner. And, despite even my stepfather's faults, Mark Rackley, we still sat down civilised at a dining table and had a civilised dinner. He wasn't an animal. And my dad was a lovely man, very respected with manners as well. Mark Fleming, because if Amanda and myself got up from the table, in the dining table, we couldn't just get up. We have to excuse ourselves. It was, may I be excused? It was always the same sentence. We finished dinner, the adults are talking, but may I be excused from the table? It's like, no, you can wait till the adults are done. Or, yes, you may. Or, but if we misbehaved at the dining table, it's like, you want to go back on the kids' table? You can go back, sit back on the kids' table, or you can sit here at the adults and you can wait and behave. So I grew up in a sophisticated home environment. I didn't grow up, never, ever were we allowed to eat food in front of a TV. Never. We were never allowed to eat in the living room. Never. And in actual fact, Mum's deadbeat boyfriend, Dave, we're adults at this stage. I've come into my mum's house, Amanda and myself will walk past the formal living room, and Mum's deadbeat abo boyfriend, the Dave, I don't know his last name, just some abo scum that was paid to do work on the property, that mum was lonely and started dating. It's like, oh, find something better, Carol. Jesus Christ. You're not that desperate, are you, to go with a fucking savage animal? He's Abbo. You can see by the bong nose he's fucking Abbo. Jesus Christ. Anyway, we walked past the living room and men and I are like, he's eating in the living room. Like, we're not even allowed to sit in it. He's eating in the living room. Fucking dirty animal. Fucking Abbos. You let one rotten Abbo in and you've got an infestation, I tell you. Anyway, I've gone off the track here with what I was going to say, so I'm going to leave it at that.